In this podcast episode, Clavicular, a controversial figure in the self-improvement and Looksmaxxing community, shares his unfiltered perspective on the importance of physical appearance, the reality of pursuing extreme aesthetic enhancements, and the culture surrounding these practices. The wide-ranging conversation touches on topics such as the influence of looks on social perception, the psychology behind Looksmaxxing, extreme interventions like double jaw surgery, the use of pharmaceuticals and stimulants, social media dynamics, and the interplay between status, charisma, and mental well-being. Clavicular argues that looks are a critical metric for overall well-being and social success, dismissing the popular narrative that looks don't matter as a form of coping or delusion among less attractive individuals. He emphasizes the halo effect, where good looks positively influence how others perceive one's personality and interests, and presents looks as a decisive factor in gaining opportunities, better treatment, and romantic attention. According to him, Looksmaxxing, or the continuous process of improving one's physical appearance, lacks a true endpoint but offers ongoing potential improvement. Achieving higher percentiles in attractiveness opens doors socially and professionally, though Clavicular acknowledges that foundational softmaxing, working out, eating clean, grooming, and dressing well, can yield the majority of visible improvements at a relatively low cost in effort and time. One of the most striking aspects of Clavicular's journey is his commitment to aggressive facial surgeries, notably double jaw surgery, osteotomy, which involves breaking and repositioning both the upper and lower jaws to enhance facial structure. He views this intervention as critical for boosting his perceived attractiveness by about 1.5 points on a 10-point scale, asserting that such changes can be transformative in how others respond to him. Despite warnings and opposition from parents and others, Clavicular carefully researched these procedures and accepted the associated risks, including a harsh recovery period and possibility of complications. He stresses the importance of choosing the right surgical options and warns against popular but misguided cosmetic practices like fillers that can age or distort the face over time. Clavicular openly discusses his early and ongoing use of various pharmaceuticals to enhance physique and cognitive function. Starting testosterone supplementation as a teenager, he rationalized the choice as a cheat code for quicker bodybuilding results, disregarding typical concerns about side effects or long-term consequences. In addition to hormone therapy, he experiments extensively with peptides, nootropics, and even appetite suppressants to optimize mental sharpness and physical conditioning. He concedes the dangers of stimulant use, particularly strong ones like dextroamphetamines, which he has used to suppress appetite and boost productivity during his streaming career, but strongly advises against for most people due to addiction and health risks. Despite experimenting heavily, Clavicular emphasizes disciplined research and caution, rejecting misuse and advocating responsible approaches. Clavicular's rise in popularity coincides with his authentic and unapologetic presence across digital platforms, although he admits he is banned from Instagram and YouTube, largely due to the controversial nature of his content and newer moderation algorithms. Content creation, particularly live streaming, has become a significant focus alongside Looksmaxxing, sometimes even taking precedence when managing his schedule. He describes the grind and all-consuming nature of streaming, noting it is mentally taxing and encroaches on time for gym training and personal upkeep. This content-driven approach has not only helped build a dedicated audience, but also generated considerable monthly income, much of which he reinvests into his business and further self-improvement tools. Expanding on the halo effect, Clavicular explains how looks influence not only romantic interest, but also everyday social interactions and judgments. Attractive individuals receive shorter criminal sentences, better job opportunities, and generally more favorable treatment across many contexts. Yet, he also frames the dating landscape as increasingly challenging due to factors like globalization, Instagram hypergamy, and intensified competition. This modern dating dynamic pressures men, especially average and below-average looking men, to maximize appearance and social status at unprecedented levels. Clavicular ties this phenomenon to social phenomena like black pill ideology, which asserts a deterministic worldview on genetics and attraction, blending it with elements of red pill self-improvement philosophies. Throughout the discussion, Clavicular contrasts softmaxing, basic grooming, weight management, style improvements, hair care, and modest enhancements, with more costly, time-consuming, and invasive procedures. He places softmaxing as an essential foundation that delivers roughly 70 to 90% of attainable aesthetic improvements. However, he asserts that for those seeking extraordinary advantage in entering elite social or professional circles, extreme looksmaxing, including surgeries, hormone therapy, and advanced peptide protocols, provides the critical final percentage points necessary to ascend. Costs for these extremes can reach tens of thousands of dollars per year, especially when incorporating intelligence-maxing nootropics and frequent clinical procedures. Discussion briefly touches on the relationship between financial status and looks, with Clavicular categorizing status, wealth, and appearance as interconnected but distinct dimensions of social influence. He praises the value of looks as an easily perceived factor, but acknowledges the importance of status symbols such as clothing, watches, and cars. While he recognizes the utility of status markers in opening opportunities, he warns against reckless financial decisions like extravagant car purchases at a young age. Ultimately, true social elevation comes from a balanced ascension across looks, status, and personal achievement. Though acknowledging personality plays a role in attraction and success, Clavicular shares a somewhat deterministic view that charisma and social skills are largely genetic, and while minor improvements are possible, they offer marginal returns compared to looks. He underscores the overriding power of physical appearance and status in shaping how a person's character is perceived, reiterating the halo effect's importance. Nevertheless, he concedes that improving charisma, humor, and social engagement can complement aesthetic gains, and even recommends comedy and social skills training as viable avenues for enhancing one's overall appeal. Throughout the conversation, Clavicular exhibits a calm, methodical demeanor paired with a strong commitment to authenticity, which he credits for much of his appeal. He identifies with being neurodivergent, possibly on the autism spectrum, which he believes fuels his obsessive focus and drive. Happiness, he claims, is not a priority. He views life as a grind where purpose and ambition matter more than emotional satisfaction. While he has experienced significant low points, such as being expelled from college and family estrangement, he maintains a pragmatic and objective approach to life's challenges. He also touches on taboo subjects humorously and unfilteredly, endorsing free speech even if it may lead to criticism. Clavicular is open about the risks in his lifestyle, but emphasizes calculated decision-making and self-awareness rather than impulsivity. Clavicular faces criticism from various corners, including skepticism about his use of pharmaceuticals, allegations that some influencers in the space sugarcoat their methods, and even disapproval of his blunt communication style. He distances himself from figures he labels as disingenuous and brands certain ideologies, especially extreme black pill fatalism, as rooted in cognitive dissonance rather than truth. Nevertheless, he embraces the controversial aspects of his persona, recognizing that his extremity and honesty give him a unique positioning in the self-improvement niche. The hosts and Clavicular acknowledge the contentious nature of some of his opinions and methods while reinforcing the necessity for individuals to approach these topics with skepticism and professional guidance. Despite his radical approach in some domains, Clavicular offers grounded starter advice for those seeking self-improvement. He advocates beginning with improving social skills through entry-level jobs like restaurant work or door-to-door sales to build interpersonal competence. Basics of softmaxing, achieving leanness, grooming, skincare, hair care, proper clothing, and a healthy lifestyle, form the foundation of any looksmaxing journey. He highlights scientifically supported fitness routines centered around high-frequency, low-volume training for hypertrophy rather than over-the-top or myth-driven workouts. Preventative skincare, including high-quality sunscreen and early Botox use, is also recommended. In cases of hair loss, he suggests pharmaceutical interventions over hair shaving or hair systems, warning about the social risks of the latter. When pressed about how much one can change through looksmaxing, especially for those considered subhuman or extremely unattractive. Clavicular states that improvements are highly contextual. Factors like age, whether puberty is complete, baseline bone structure, and body composition heavily influence results. He uses examples of dramatic body transformations by actors Christian Bale and others to demonstrate possible variability, but emphasizes that while substantial improvements are possible, limitations exist. Genetics sets the baseline, but intelligent and dedicated intervention can push individuals significantly higher, though not without diminishing returns at elite levels. Clavicular reveals that his primary income stream comes from live streaming, generating approximately $80,000 to $100,000 per month, mainly through donations and advertising. Despite substantial earnings, he reinvests nearly all income into maintaining and upgrading his streaming setup and Looksmaxxing-related expenses. He discusses the complexities of managing a growing business entity, including asset protection, tax burdens, and the challenges of handling sudden financial influxes responsibly. Notably, he has yet to focus heavily on investment vehicles like 401ks or diversified portfolios due to the early stage of his financial journey. Throughout the episode, Clavicular responds candidly to questions about his habits, such as wearing a luxury belt at the gym, explains temporary lapses such as muscle loss due to content grind, neglecting gym time, and tackles skepticism about his motivations. He frames himself as someone compelled by objective improvement rather than fleeting social approval or superficial trends. Addressing accusations of heedlessness or impulsivity, he underscores the calculated intent behind his actions and admits that although some personal traits may appear off-putting or controversial, they stem from authenticity and a different worldview. Clavicular adopts a pragmatic, outcome-driven ethical framework where the ends justify the means. Whether discussing look enhancements, social manipulation tactics in dating, or pharmaceutical use, he focuses on effectiveness over moral considerations. He acknowledges that this stance may be unsettling to some, but insists it stems from objectivity and a keen understanding of human nature rather than mere callousness. The discussion underscores the importance of personal responsibility, research, and professional advice for anyone considering similar paths, as well as the varied individual thresholds for risk, ethics, and self-acceptance.